So welcome to the podcast, Nicola. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, Craig. How are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Very good, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to being on the podcast and being a guest on this week's Mortgages Broker broadcast. So thank you very much.
Oh no, thank you for the invitation.
No, I'm like I said, I appreciate I understand you're a very busy lady with a very busy business, so I appreciate your time to share your journey and also obviously a lot about the knowledge bank, what it's about, why you created it, and all those sorts of things. So yeah, we've had quite a decent chat before the podcast before we hit record because obviously we've not spoken to each other for quite a while, and we did work together we worked out 2008, so it's been a long 13 years and a lot of learning and a lot of a lot of learning, I'd probably say, and a lot more wrinkles, I think, and a lot more sort of whatever grey hair. Certainly got more grey hairs. That is a cert than I had 13 years ago when we worked together. So, but yeah, like you say, I just hit record now rather than sort of going back and everybody listening to us sort of chatting about our past and where we've sort of been. So, but yeah, so let's just hear about Nicola first of all. Let's talk before we get into Knowledge Bank and about that. Let's hear about you and your background and your journey up to Knowledge Bank when you set that up a few years ago.
Yeah, no worries. Well, as you say, it's been a while, and we did have some catching up to do, of course, after. But yeah, I mean, my background, as well, was at William H. Brown's Sequence as an estate agency mortgage advisor, and we were saying what a great training ground, to be in an estate agency, to understand the house buying process from start to finish. It's just a fantastic training ground, and it's great experience for anybody at any part of the career, isn't it? Working in estate agents and seeing all of that. But yeah, from there I went on to set up on my own, and did that for quite a while. I did that actually. I set up my own brokerage in 2010. You're thinking, oh, that's a good time. Straight right in the middle of the financial crisis, and people said, oh, you must be mad. And the probably some truth to that, to be fair. I would probably agree with them. But then on day one, I actually took on a full-time administrator. So without a lead, without a client, without any written business. So day one, this is when we open, and I'm taking on a full-time administrator. And it went from, you must be mad, to no, you actually are mad. That's, but I thought, right, okay, look at this realistically. You need good admin. You absolutely need good admin behind you. If you're going to do the numbers, I mean, it's possible to do it on your own. And that's, everything, some people are better at one thing than another, but I knew if I could get somebody to do my admin, that I could just write the business and see clients. And that's the bit I enjoyed as well, seeing clients. I didn't particularly enjoy doing my own admin, done it, but I just think, what's better than spending time with clients and helping them and looking at what they want and all of that. So yes, I did that, and we were in profit from month 2, which was fantastic, and that just went on right until Knowledge Bank, to be fair.
Okay, and that, I think it's quite interesting what you say about the admin, because you're absolutely right. Admin from day one, that is a brave move. So not only brave, because we've talked about this a little bit, not about being brave from going from being the employed security to then set up your own firm with your own brand. That's brave doing that, and that takes a certain kind of person to do that. Then day one, add on a payroll. It's like, well, yeah, it's probably, but that's testament to you, Nicola, because then I'm guessing that for me, if I made that decision, it would drive me on to make sure that administrator was busy, because I'm going to be paying the salary, I'm going to be paying for them. If
Yeah.
they're not busy, they're costing money. So what better way to give you that motivation?
Absolutely. I mean, I looked at it, costed it out. I thought, look, an administrator takes one extra case per month. That pays for an administrator. And let's be honest, if I'm not doing my admin, if I'm only doing one extra case per month, then I'm doing something wrong, So that's that, quite simplistic. But I've heard a lot of brokers will say, oh, I'm not busy enough yet. I'll take an administrator on when I get busy enough. and I was always saying, look, you'll never be busy enough because you'll always be bogged down in admin. So it is chicken and egg, but you've just got to go for it, and have that faith. Now you've got to get the right administrator as well. I have to say that. So that is, that is something. But to be fair, just to really confirm my insanity, I took on somebody that had never done mortgage admin before. She'd been an administrator, but not been a mortgage admin. Bit crazy, you know what I'm like. What's life without a challenge or five?
That
Go
is
before, go
that's
home.
clearly sort of right. I'm going to do this. I don't know how, I don't know why, I don't know where, but I'm going to do it, and I'll find the solution. And that's what you've done. So you've sort of, but you're absolutely right. I think the thing with it is what you said was going back to the fact that for you made you sort of realize very quickly, which people don't, is that it's going to free up you more time to do more business if you have an administrator. You did that from the beginning, and then I know, Nicola, you just didn't wake up one day and sort of said, right, I'm going to create my own business and start it tomorrow. You did a lot of thought and preparation around when you left Browns and look at and setting up yourself. So, but you did it from day one, and you did it right, because then you knew there's quite a lot of people I talk. It's quite divided with the camp, to be fair, from the people I talk to, where people don't have administrators and do everything themselves because they've got that control and they want to make sure everything's done right. And going back to it a little bit, we'll come on to a little bit about finding the right person. And but then, like you say, it's then you'll never be too busy, or you'll never be busy enough to get an administrator, because then you'll always a reason not to do it, kind of thing. I think, and how I can relate to that is people ask me all the time. Like when I first set up, when I went self-employed, set my firm up, I was a mortgage broker. That's what I did with a couple of people, a couple of mortgage brokers. And I get asked all the time by a lot of firm people within the firm saying, at what point did you decide, did you know that you were no longer going to be a mortgage broker and you were just going to run your business? And I went, probably about a year before I set the firm up. I knew that was something I was going to do. I just couldn't do it at the start.
Yeah.
But then I knew that it was something I was going to do. Whereas, and you've got that clear plan for yourself that you knew, so 11 years ago, that if you had an administrator, it would create more time, and it would more than pay for itself. That person would pay for themselves by being how busy you would be, and the income they're generating, and the benefit from that, really. So, but yeah, I didn't realize. I knew about the administrator. I didn't realize it was a non-experienced, non-industry mortgage administrator. So, but fair play to Nick. I wouldn't have expected anything less from me. I'm sure, looking back on that now, that they didn't come with any baggage. They didn't come with any understanding of the role, and you could, being the kind of person you are, I'm guessing you could show them what to do and how to do that, and they could do it your way for you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I thought. So you've got somebody coming in completely fresh, no sort of previous experience, which you could see as a negative, but I saw that as a positive because I knew how we wanted to do things, how we wanted to be with customers, how we packaged cases and all of that. So to teach somebody your way, and you know what? Now she's still in the industry, and she's actually a mortgage and protection advisor now, and I'm as proud as punch of that. I really am. Because she went thinking, and I think we all think this. She was thinking, "Oh, I could never be a mortgage advisor," and now she is. Now she's gone through that, but she'll have had great grounding and great training doing the job of an administrator, because she'll really now appreciate from an advisor's perspective just what's involved. And I think that's the thing. You said something there, Craig. I think that's really interesting. When you are working for yourself, you need to decide how much time you spend working on your business and how much time you spend working for your business. And that's just it's a difficult balancing act, isn't it? It's because you have to work for it because you need to bring the money in and people need paying. But at the same time, if you don't work on it, your business will never progress, and you're putting things in place, and whether that's going out and getting new introducers, or whether it's putting new processes in place, or plans to scale up at some stage and achieve what you might want to do in that sense. You've got to striking that balance, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely, without a doubt. And it's a difficult. I don't think there's any right or wrong time. It's just about time. And I talk so much about timing, about because it is trying to give you an unfair advantage. If the timing's right, it will give you a greater chance of making a success of it. If the timing's not, then you can still make it work. It's just that it's not. You're going to be in a sort of in a less favourable situation from the start, shall we say?
Yeah.
So
Well,
you know,
sorry, okay. I was just going to say, I
oh,
think
no,
you're absolutely right. Timing wise, that's, you've hit the nail on the head because everyone said 2010, what an awful time to set up on your own self-employed because, we were still very much reeling from what had just happened with the credit crunch. And we were still in that period as well. 2010, we were knee deep in all of that. The banks not feeling comfortable to lend, money not available. But I just looked at that and thought, yeah, but people still need mortgages. They might not be as available as they once were. It might be more difficult to get hold of. But surely then that's when, an advisor is even more valued and needed than before. And also at that time as well. I mean, that was a time where brokers weren't charging fees. It was just like nobody charged a fee. So, but we had to start charging fees at that time because you just needed to survive, so there are all those additional hurdles that really we don't have these days. I think some brokers charge, some don't. I think clients are very much, oh, you do, oh, that's fine. They don't question it because back then nobody charged because you didn't need to prior to the credit crunch because it was just, you were just so busy, weren't you? So yeah, I think a lot of lessons can be learned when you need to dig deep in times like that. And if you can make it in a time like that, then when the better times come, you're just well positioned.
yeah, and definitely because you've got the right process in place. You've got, like you say, I think with anything, and I'm a firm believer in this with regards to if when difficult times. So, like I said, 2010 was a difficult time. A lot of mortgage brokers left the industry and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
the actual cream, the top quality advisors just rose to the challenge as they always do. And that's the sort of thing is like people will fall by the wayside, which is great because when you do have to dig deep, not everybody's prepared to dig deep.
Yeah.
And so when you do have to dig deep, you will find that you're one of the few people that is prepared to dig deep and you'll just rise to the top. You'll rise to that occasion and you'll benefit from it, like you said, both short term and long term as well. You'll benefit from a long term from the
Yeah.
client relationships and stuff like that because you're going to do a good job by that client at the time when they need it most.
And you've just said there, Craig, exactly what I was thinking, what it's all about. It's not about being the best advisor. It's not about how much and I know that sounds sort of goes against the grain, but it's not. It's the relationships with the clients that you have. That underpins everything. And especially more now than ever, because, there are so many places where you can get help and information. There are mortgage desks. There are obviously you've got product sourcing criteria, affordability systems, all of that. You can go away from your client. And what you can do is you can do your research, you can do your homework, you can lean on somebody else, ask questions, but nobody else can have that client relationship, only you. So that's the bit that you absolutely need to nail. The recommendation will come naturally because I always went with, I never ever looked at prop fees or anything. I always thought you do a good job, you earn a good living. And if you're doing the right thing for the client, that will pay you wages. Of course it will, and then you get repeat business and then you get recommendations and referrals. And it's just that bit of integrity and the client relationship is absolutely everything. It's not one advice. I remember starting, so when I first started as an advisor at Sequence, and I remember thinking, looking at one of the older advisors there, Phil, I don't know, you'll remember Phil, who used to work in the Wakefield branch. And I remember thinking, how am I ever going to do this job? I'm never going to know what he does. How can I possibly amass this amount of knowledge? It's just not possible. But then you quickly learn that actually it's not even that necessary. You just need to do what you need to do because things are changing all the time as well. They're not, nothing's static in our industry. Things change, whether it's regulation, policy, criteria, just different things that come in. So it's just this, it's this ever moving feast. But the one thing that's constant is the relationship with the client. So that to me is out there by far the most important thing to make sure that you look after.
Definitely. I think that the thing is the customers are just wanting somebody that they know and trust. And they, like you say, you talked about integrity. They're looking for people that, like, somebody that they can just believe in and know that actually they're doing the right thing for them. And it's funny you should say something then, a little sort of snippet of what you said, which I talk a lot about when I speak to people looking to get into mortgage broking, is chase the service, not the pound. If you chase the service, do the best for the client, offer them the best service you can, the pound will follow, the income will follow, your salary will follow, all those things will follow. If you chase the pound and
Yeah.
not the service, you might get a quick pound today, you might get that quick turnaround pound, but you won't get that client for life because they'll see straight through you. They'll know you've not done the best thing for them, it's the best thing for you, and it's not about the service. So if you just chase the service, that's all. That's what my advice generally is. And it's funny you should say that similar sort of thing there, that's what you built your brokerage on, was about the service. Even before you started the brokerage, sorry, going back to what when you was at Sequence, that it's all about that service and all about that trust and integrity that you built the foundations of your business on, because that allowed you to then, if you built it on the pound, you wouldn't have been able to set up your own firm. You wouldn't be able to do what you did and gone where you were today, because you've just been looking quick for the quick pound day in, day out. But because you've built it on that solid foundations of service, that then allowed you to then fly and really grow
Yeah.
like you've grown, really, and allowed you to do it in the first place, and then and be brave behind that, and then just allowed you to grow from there. But that's got to come naturally to you, Nicola. And I think that clearly what I can see, because obviously this is a podcast, so people can't see you, and as I can, and I think I can see that, like how important that was to you back then when you're recalling that, and how important that is still to you today, really.
Yeah. Oh, it absolutely is. It's. I mean, I remember I used to sit in an office in Wakefield on the first floor, and there used to be a sort of a little square. You could walk around the block, and there were so many estate agents, high street banks, and this was, if you think like 2006, 2007, when it was booming. Why are they coming? Why are they coming to me? They could go anywhere. And yes, of course, I was over at estate agents, and the house they were buying was probably from that estate agent. But the one they were selling might have been with another estate agent. They got their high street banks, and they would shop around for advice. And to be realistic, you're not going to find them a mortgage that's £500 a month cheaper than the next. But it's not.
No.
You're just not, by and large, you've all got access to sort of similar products. The differentiator is relationship and service, and that's the only thing that can make you different. And I suppose in one sense, if your heart's in it, you don't need to try it that, because if your heart's in it, then that just comes naturally, doesn't it? That you want to do your best for your clients. And you're absolutely right. Don't chase the pound. It's just not, and it's not even satisfying at all. What's satisfying is when you see those first time buyers that thought they could never get a mortgage, and now they are getting the keys to their first house and they're just beaming. Or that family that have been down on their luck, and that they've got a lot of debt that they don't know how they're going to manage, and they think their only option is to sell, and you manage to restructure it and their family stay in their home. That's what matters. That's what used to put the smile on my face, not the pound, because say you do a good job, you'll earn a good living, and that's, in its most simplistic terms, that's it, really.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And we talked a little bit before the podcast about things that you remember that stand out, and the things that will stand out are the flowers from that client, the
Yeah.
card, the chocolates, the bottle of wine, the bottle of champagne, all those things, the review that you get, and things. All those are the things that you remember. You don't remember every single pound, every single like deal, so to speak, but they're the clients that will stand out more because actually they've given you feedback that you did provide them with a great service. You did feel part of the process with them. You did hold the hand through it,
Yeah.
through this really stressful time. And we all know how stressful buying and selling houses is. It is a stressful time. So for somebody that's there with them, holding the hand and delivering what they promised, well, ideally you're sort of over over promising, under delivering. No, you're not really. You're under delivering and over promising. Clearly, that's what you want to be doing. So, and that's the thing with it, is then customers will remember that. They will remember that you were there for them at that time of need. So they will come back to you about with your remortgage or referral or anything else like that, they'll be singing from the rooftops about Nicola or any other the mortgage broker, that they've built that trusted relationship with them and delivered what they said they're going to do.
Yeah.
So
There's nothing like it, is there? When a client comes back to you, or you get a call out of the blue and they'll say, another client's recommended that I speak to you. And, I'll tell you the other thing that for me was at the site, when you've been doing it a few years, like I was, is when the clients then have their kids are ready to buy their first house and they want you to give advice to their kids. And it's just, yourself, you wouldn't, somebody's prepared to put their children in front of you. That's everything, isn't it? That is everything. That's the ultimate trust with regards to financial responsibility.
definitely, because I think it was they'd be gifting them the deposit possibly, and like so the parents had like your clients
Yeah,
gift them the deposit to buy the first home. So that's the thing. Like it's then they said, what better recommendation, what better referral can you get than somebody's
yeah,
child, and then they're trusting you to get them onto the property ladder, and they're gifting their money to help their child get on the property ladder. So it is a big thing, absolutely big, and it's a long term thing. Being a mortgage broker, mortgage advisor, it's a long term thing you're going to get into. It's not going to be something, an industry where you're going to be in there for a few years, think, oh, well, I'm going to do it now and move on to something else. It generally is a long, like you talked about people, we talked about for the podcast about people that would do it, have been doing it for a long time. And those,
yeah,
there are people that have been doing it for a long time because actually it is a tough industry. It is a hard job, but actually it's a rewarding one and it's a good
yeah,
one. Get it
yeah.
right. It's a bloody good job. It is a good job.
It
It
is.
puts a smile on your face and you get the feedback like you talked about from your clients and you enjoy doing what you're doing. And then, so it's not a bad way to earn a living. But at the same time, it's a bloody tough one. And you have to deal with the roller coasters that happen that,
Yeah,
especially when you're self-employed, when you're sort of your income's so dependent on it, and if you fall through or a vendor pulls out or the lender declines it for whatever reason because they don't like the way the wind's blowing today, it's just sort of it's just then but it's just how you deal with that and how you, because
yeah,
then like you say, if you've got your client at heart, you'll deal with it and sort it out for the client. You won't deal and sort it out just for yourself. It's about the client
yeah.
journey, really.
But I think you're right. I think, thinking back to my own experience, all those pinch points that cause the stress because the lender's declined it and there's no good reason and they won't explain it to you and you're not sure how you're going to explain it to your client and those kinds of things, or valuations that are, that's all of those bits that cause you that stress. You're only that bothered because you really care. If it was just a transaction, well, there'll be another along shortly, won't there?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
not. It's because there's people. It's emotive. There are emotions involved, and you care about your clients. You want to finish what you started for them and what they came to see you about, and that's so. Yeah, it is a stressful job. I mean, there's no two ways about it, and there are the parts of it that I don't miss, that sort of that stress and the fighting, when I think about the sort of after the credit crunch and the fighting with lenders just to try and get offers and try and get completions and all of that, I absolutely wouldn't want to go through that again. But do I miss the job of advising clients? And yeah, absolutely. And I still keep in touch with some clients now, even now, it's just nice. They'll ring me up every now and again and just how's it going? And I love that. And I've not been advised them for years and they're not close friends, but every now and again I'll get an email or a call and just seeing how you're
yeah.
doing. It's
That is
lovely.
so good. And that's good feedback again for you that they bought into you. Are you sure
Yeah.
they're not ringing you up saying my brokers can't find us a mortgage? Can you just have a look on your knowledge bank for us, Nick, and see whether they're telling us the truth or not? Are you sure they're not sort of like having that sort of
I see.
using that facility?
Yeah. I know I do. I get quite a lot that follow me on social media, so they do know what I'm up to. It's and that they've taken an interest in that really, which is lovely.
Good.
It's great.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, that's a good lead in. Let's do. I knew we'd go around the house. I knew we'd go off piece and talk about various other things. But the idea was for us to talk about Knowledge Bank and what Knowledge Bank is and why you created it and sort of the challenge you've had doing that. So yeah, let's just have a discussion around that. So looking back, what Knowledge Bank? Do you want to first of all explain when did this sort of trigger in your head and Well, let's talk about, I'm waffling a bit here. Let's talk about, first of all, what knowledge bank is. So just explain, first of all, exactly what knowledge bank is.
So the way I would explain, in fact, the way I explained it to my parents and my in-laws when we were talking, so they've nothing to do with the industry, and so anybody listening to this, it is to do with the industry. It's really obvious, I guess. But obviously, the different criteria that mortgage lenders have got. When you get a case in front of you, you need to go, okay, they've got this, that, and that. Who will accept this case? It's that question that pops into, who's, as you fill in the fact find out, you're thinking, who is going to accept this case? And it's where you go for the answers. Now, prior to Knowledge Bank, you might have tried to keep your own spreadsheet up to date. You might be ringing a mortgage desk, which is great, but you know what? Their spreadsheets are not always up to date if they're using spreadsheets, and they're only open, at certain office hours, generally speaking. You could ring around BDMs, you could look on websites, but if you imagine having to do that with product, imagine somebody said to you, right, okay, you've got to find the cheapest 2-year fixed rate with no arrangement fees on it and a free val. Where would you go for that? Well, of course, you go to a product sourcing system. Can you imagine ringing around and going, so what have you got? It just wouldn't happen, would it? And rates change constantly, as does criteria. So put all of that criteria onto one system. So I thought, surely there has to be a system where all of this is input in one place that everybody can look at this criteria. And I Googled the life out of it and I couldn't find it. And I thought, why has nobody done this? And actually, to be honest, that if you said, what was the one thing that could have put you off, it could have been that, thinking, well, why has nobody done it? Now I did ask around people I knew in the industry and they said, well, it's not possible. Lenders won't give all of their criteria away. And I'm thinking, surely it is. Lenders put what they put on their websites. But can you imagine walking into a shop and it's a really lovely shop, but all the shelves are bare, and you're playing a game of like, guess what we sell? Well, no, tell me, and I'll decide if I want to buy it. That's how this works, this customer relationship thing.
Great way to put it. What a great way to put it.
So that's really what Knowledge Bank does. It's got everything out there. And what you got to remember is on websites for lenders, to be fair to lenders, they quite often they'll put what they do and what they're really good at, and they'll advertise on their website the criteria, the kind of business that they're looking for. Then they'll also have some of the stuff that they definitely don't do, and that's they definitely won't accept. Then you've got everything else in the middle, and that's what was missing, all the stuff in the middle. So it's where are you going for that? Now you can just log on to Knowledge Bank. You literally do one search. You can put as many pieces of criteria in as you want. And I should say this is residential. You've got buy-to-let, second charges, equity release, self-build, bridging, commercial. So it doesn't matter what it is, you can do whatever you want. Product transfers, yeah. So again, that was something. So product transfers. Somebody said to us, where do we go for a list of product transfer windows? We went, we'll put that on because that makes sense to do it. It just makes sense. It's another tool for the broker. So yeah, so it is. It's all the lenders' criteria. And I should say it's kept up to date by lenders themselves. So we went, when we first started Knowledge Bank, went out on the road visiting lenders, and lenders were like, God, this is such a good idea. So if we keep this up to date, we don't need to keep all of these spreadsheets up to date. It's like, yeah, that's it. Just one easy place where you put all your criteria. So every lender has their own login and they update it themselves. So that's how it's up to date. So, and just to put that in context, we have over 130,000 pieces of criteria. And in terms of the speed at which it changes, on average, there's about 1,000 changes every month on average. So that if you imagine trying to keep up with that yourself,
I'm just thinking of all like the brokers I know that'll sort of be sat there going, yeah, but it's all up here, Nicola, it's all up here. How many pieces of criteria? How much can you remember? That's just wow.
And why would you want to? Can you imagine saying that about products? Oh, it's all up here. Why? Why is it? Because you've got a product sourcing system. So why would you want to? Because realistically, you can't remember. If you're honest with yourself, you cannot remember every piece of criteria. Look, BDMs work for one lender. They sometimes have to ring back to the office or refer to their binders or their websites. Even they can't remember just their own. That's nothing against BDMs. It's because it's a big job, everything you've got to deal with. So if you're a broker and you're telling me that you can remember every piece of criteria for every lender that's out there, I think, well, I was joking earlier. I think you're lost. You need to be on a poker table in Vegas and earning some real money with that kind of memory.
It is a bit of a Rain Man, that one kind of
It
situation.
is definitely. There's another career out there for you.
I think you'd be spending too much time worrying about criteria and not enough time seeing clients and placing cases are based on that criteria. I think you'd be more worried about the wrong part of the job, really, which is
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, and trying to keep a spreadsheet up to date, it's just not, is that a good use of your time? Not at all, So you're taking an administrator on, you're wanting to spend more time with clients, and then you're spending time trying to keep a spreadsheet up to date. Or you don't keep a spreadsheet up to date and you're spending time looking on individual websites, you're ringing around BDMs, you're waiting for them to call you back, you're sending emails out with blind copy on them to every BDM that's ever been in your inbox. It's like, there's a better way. There is a better way.
There is certainly a better way. And I think just to explain what the spreadsheet, because I know what the spreadsheets are and I can see it now. I know advisors that had those spreadsheets, which would have a list of every lender and whether they take this, how many years accounts, CCJD, all the different criteria, like matrices put together on one spreadsheet. And there's brokers I know that have done this for years and been mortgage brokers for years and pretty good on criteria, but they still use Knowledge Bank because I look at it a lot of ways in terms of reducing friction. So you're more likely to do something if there's less friction to do it. So if you've
Yeah,
got a case and you're thinking, right, I've got my spreadsheet, I've got a BCC everything, I've got all these other things, which creates friction. If I've got all these tasks to do to know where to place this case, it creates friction. If I can just go to one place that I know it's got the answer, that's no friction. There's less friction. I'm more likely to do it, and I'm going to choose to do that rather than choose other things that I know is going to create friction. So it's not only a good outcome for the broker, it makes their life easier. It's a good outcome for the client as well, isn't it? Really, when you think about it from their point of view.
absolutely. It is, because the number of times that brokers say, do you know what? I never thought of that lender, and it fits perfectly. There's the right product there for them, and that's the whole point about it. You want to get as many options on the table for your client as possible, so you can work out which is the best one and which one you're going to recommend. And on that, the other thing that was also a big thing for us with Knowledge Bank was the evidence of research from a compliance perspective. Because as soon as you make a recommendation, you're wide open to a complaint, because you've just actually made a recommendation to a client. And of course, that's your job. That's what you do. That's fine. But the FCA say you have to evidence your research. So how are you doing that then? So you've got this complex case. They can't just go anywhere. We're not picking the cheapest on the sourcing. It's not possible, which, let's be honest, how many times is that possible these days to go with the top of the sourcing table? It's not. So how are you evidencing that research? Because if you're writing notes on a fact find, or you're typing the notes in on the fact find, spoke to my BDM, they said they couldn't do this or they could do that. Is that evidencing? Or is that just documenting? Because I tell you now, in the event of a complaint, if the FCA come in, there is a world of difference between evidencing and documenting. Yeah. And let me tell you, if you go back to said BDM 2, 3, 4 years later, are they even going to be working there? Are they going to remember that case? You've got to do everything you can. Why would you not want your file to be as robust as possible and up to absolute scrutiny? So on Knowledge Bank, you put in the criteria that you want. It's all been put in by the lenders. It's date and time stamped. So you can say, you've got your product sourcing results, you've got your criteria search results on this day at this time. This is why I went for that lender, because you told me, Mr. Customer, that you got X, Y, and Z, and this lender would accept that. That's why we couldn't pick the cheapest, and that's why we've gone here. That is robust. And we've worked with the FCA on this, so we know that they'll never publicly say they're happy because it's the FCA. They're never happy, but they're certainly never publicly happy. They'll not endorse anything. That we've worked with them on that, and I can tell you, they absolutely loved our evidence of research, because they're like, this is what we're talking about. It's bolt and braces. So if you have a challenge, in a couple of years' time about the recommendation, you've got everything on file. And as a broker, why would you not want that?
No, exactly. I think that, like, one of the big things, especially for new brokers coming into the world as they are at the minute, then compliance is the big thing that scares them. It's like, well, where do I evidence where do I evidence it? How do I document down my sort of research and what I've done? And yeah, you can do as good notes as you possibly can, but that's, like you say, is that really providing the right document, that the evidence to prove that you've done the right thing
Yeah,
by your notes and stuff like that? Because, like I say, if you've got a complaint 3 or 4 years time, then if it's that day and timestamp like it is with Knowledge Bank, then that just gives you that bolt and braces, right? This is exactly, you can exactly see,
yeah,
and you're more likely to get to the complaint not upheld against you because you've got that. So it then protects you as well. So not only creates less friction, better for the customer, it then protects you as well from your advice point of view, which is a big deal. Well, it should be a big deal. It is a big deal for everybody, but particularly for the new people, they saw
mm,
that's quite a big deal for them. Of not, they want to get to CAS status, they want to be seen as competent. So if they've got doing it this way, then they've got a greater chance of getting there quicker. So
yeah. Oh, definitely. And compliance managers love it. They absolutely love it, because they can, it's to show your workings out. Like when you're at school, how did you get to that? And it's not that it's not the right decision. It's just, how did you get there? And if you can evidence that, that's it. You can sleep at night. That's you've done your job. Compliance managers are happy, and if compliance managers are happy, you're happy. That's the
exactly.
bottom line, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah, gone are the days where I'm just thinking now, where I know when I was broken like before, where you just write down every lender. So you've got sort of 50 lenders on there. You've got HSBC, no. Halifax, no. You wouldn't, you just put a cross, or like you put like not affordable or whatever. So you'd work it down that way, which again just takes a lot of time and effort
Yeah,
from a broker's point of view, where actually, so then think about it again, getting the cases through quicker. You're going to be able to place cases quicker, do your sign-ups quicker. The client's going to be able to move into the house quicker because you've got the mortgage, because you're placing the case with the right people from the start, which is, I'm a big person, believer getting it right first time. So place the
yeah,
case with the right lender at the start, with the right information that matches what the lender's looking at, then you've got a far greater chance of it going through with less friction. So it's not just a case of throwing a dart at the board and going, oh, right, okay, well, I'll try Halifax. No, right, dip it
yeah.
with them. Dip it with them. It's a soft footprint. Dip it with them. That's just not the real world nowadays. You can't be in that world. It's just got to be. And like you say, we they will remain nameless, but like we all know and I certainly do know the brokers that have got sort of a panel of 3 or 4 or 5, if you're lucky, where they just go in, and is that right for the client? I had questioned
Yeah.
that. Is it when they're only sort of, and what I mean by panel of 5, I don't mean an official panel of 5. I mean that they have got a panel of 50, 60, 70 lenders, or whole the market, but they still only go with the same 3, 4, or 5 because that's
Mm.
what they know, when actually that might not be right for the client, really.
Yeah, you're right, and those brokers should be worried, because I can tell you now from the conversations that we've had with the FCA, and I sit on a few of their committees as well now for different things that we're looking to do in the industry, and it's all about being clear and transparent. And just before the pandemic, that's where the FCA's focus was on those advisors, because if you're just having that small panel of lenders because you know it all, it's all up there, how are you giving that good advice to that client? Because you could have been looking at another lender, there might have been a cheaper product for them, and that doesn't sit well with the FCA. Now, that focus changed because of the pandemic, but they'll be back on it. They will be back on it, and this is where evidence in your research and proper research as well, because let's be honest, the product tables, they are what they are. They're set in stone, aren't they? You can't, a 2.49 is cheaper than 2.79. That's a fact, and you can order them differently, total to pay, or however you do it. But criteria is where the real research comes in. And as well, it's also where the time is spent. You don't spend time researching products, not really. Let's be honest. You spend time placing that case, and placing that case is all about the criteria and affordability as well. I'm not, that is also important. But you get a feel for that anyway. If it's tight, you need to run it through quite a few calculators. But it's the criteria that if they're not going to accept that, it's not going anywhere at all.
No, definitely not. No, I think, Nicola, you've given we understand what Knowledge Bank is about. We understand like why you created it, because, like you say, you a business working on spreadsheets like we were several years ago. So we understand, like, stand on that point of view. But when you talk about things like involved with the FCA and how it started and getting lenders on board and things like that, that must have taken so much time and effort. And really, from what you've sort of created, fair play to you for having that, because I'm sure you got a few knocks and things like that. But I think what sort of been the biggest challenge for you getting Knowledge Bank set up and flying to where it is today?
I think you're right. I think, you know what, it's a good point. So if I think about what we did in the beginning, and when I say we, I mean there were only two of us working at Knowledge Bank to start off with. One on the tech side and me. That's where we started. Obviously, we've got a much bigger team now. But I remember hitting the road thinking, right, I need to go and see some lenders, and getting through those doors, getting through those big doors. And the thing is, this was a brand new concept as well. So, it's not another product sourcing system. You've got to then explain the concept, how it's going to work for the lender, who's using it. One of the biggest challenges, I have to say, is lenders wanted brokers on there, but brokers needed lenders on there. That was a real chicken and egg. So we had to run at both equally as hard, because brokers aren't going to use it if there are no lenders on there, saying what their criteria is. But lenders are saying, well, what's the point in us keeping it up to date if brokers aren't using it? So that was probably the biggest challenge. That, and the fact that I thought brokers would think it was quite a slow burn to begin with, because we had to prove concept, because this was brand new. Nobody else had done this. I know there are other systems that have come out since, but nobody had done this. We were the first. So you kind of think, build it and they will come. But let me tell you, Kevin Costner, I'm not. This is no Field of Dreams. It's you build it, and then you have to say, right, you need to go and have a look at this, and this is what it does, and this, and it's getting people to look at it. So if you tell people about it, people are like, oh, right, yeah, okay, that's, yeah. Show brokers, and they're like, wow, this is fantastic. This is amazing, and it's as soon as they see it. And that's why, I mean, we give a full 30 days free trial on Knowledge Bank. So brokers have got full access to the system to use it completely without even, worrying about how much it costs, paying for it. Just try it, because once you've tried it, you don't want to go back to the old way. You don't want to go back to the spreadsheets and to the ringing BDMs and websites and all of that. Now, to be fair, what I will say is it doesn't replace BDMs at all. And BDMs are still one of the best tools that lenders have got. But what it does is it narrows down you were talking about, being efficient and with your time and removing those pinch points. What it allows you to do is have fewer conversations, because let's be honest, neither you or the BDM want a conversation that ends in, no, that's not one for us. That's not helped anybody, has it? So it'll stop you having to have those, no, it's not for us, thanks conversations. And what it does do is it means you get fewer conversations, but better quality conversations with BDMs, which is why lenders love it and support it, as do BDMs, because they know it's not doing them out of a job. What it's doing is letting them have better quality conversations, because that conversation starts, I've seen on Knowledge Bank that you'll do X, Y, and Z. And you're off, you've got a shot on target. And like you say, right first time, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think fair play to you for having that persistence of the chicken and egg situation that was thrown at you with regards to lenders, brokers, lenders, because in fairness to them, they both can be as stubborn as each other when they want to be. So yeah, but fair play to you. Like, I know when I first set my firm up and we met, like, briefly, you were very busy because you was hosting awards, one of the mortgage strategy awards or whatever it was, mortgage solutions award, and because it isn't like fair, because you have got the feedback, you've won the awards, you've got sort of so much praise and reap so much praise from every angle from a mortgage broker world, that you've, when you've done this, Nicola, and set this up and grown it to where it's grown today and continues to change. Like you said, product transfers is on there now. I'm sure you're going to be sort of putting new things on there and great feedback from the brokers that are using it, that you are acting on that as well. So what a great sort of system, and what great place to be where you're acting on the feedback from your users, which is quite unique, really. Not a lot of people work on that.
Yeah, and I think it just goes back to, what I was saying about relationships and client relationships. Well, brokers are our customers now, and they matter to us. And actually, everybody who works at Knowledge Bank, with the exception of the tech team, obviously they're techies, and need to be. But on the other side, everybody's either been a broker, they're CMAP qualified, they've been an underwriter, or they've worked in compliance. Everybody has. So we get it. We completely get it. And what we're able to do is put a broker hat on and see it through a broker's eyes and think, right, what do brokers need? Why is this working? Is it working well enough? And keep up with that pace of change, because it really everybody on the team is so passionate, and they are, and it's an absolute pleasure to work with the people that I do every day, because everybody is absolutely passionate about delivering what we set out to with Knowledge Bank. There's no, it doesn't, we're not a big tech company. There's no like big venture capitalist backing behind it or anything like that. What matters to us is doing a good job and giving the broker the tools that they need to do the job. And that's where, when we get any feedback, we're all over it. We jump on it, good or bad. We want to hear it, because if people are contacting you, it's because they care as well, and they're thinking, actually, it's good, but it'd be really good if it did this or if we did that. We did, like last year, for example, we put SVRs on there. Now, we're not a product system, we don't have products on, but a broker contacted us just on Twitter, said, what would be really good? There's no central list of SVRs. You're thinking, surely that'd be on product sourcing, but it wasn't. So now you can go on Knowledge Bank and just quickly check on Resi and Buy-to-Let what that lender's SVR is, and that's constantly updated. So it's just little things like that. And last year, when the pandemic hit, we went, right, okay, what does this mean? What do we need to do? And within 24 hours, the tech team had worked through the night, and they'd built a free tool to release into the industry. And we started off with one piece of criteria on that, and that was the mortgage payment holidays, what the process was. And then we added things like furloughed workers, SEIS scheme, and also transfer into interest, any piece of criteria that was specifically related to the pandemic. And we released that, and within a week, we got like 1,900 brokers using that for free. And that for us, it didn't earn us any money. We didn't do anything. That was the right thing to do at the right time, because we could. And the difference that meant to brokers, again, not ringing up lenders, trying to find on their websites what's the process for mortgage payment holidays, because they're inundated with clients asking them. From a lender's perspective, they thought that was fantastic, because we just solved a problem. Because they were already, their backs were up against it as it was. They've got people self-isolating. They had to manage people working from home in a very short space of time, and put procedures and equipment in place for that. And then on top of that, some of the lenders were sat at home like we were, watching Rishi Sunak, tell us about payment holidays, and the lenders were going, "Oh, that's a good idea. Oh, right, that'll be us then. Better work that one out. How are we going to manage this?" So all of that going on. So we just did that because we thought we can ease this pressure. And you know what? At Knowledge Bank, we always ask ourselves 3 questions: does it work for the lender? Does it work for the broker? And does it benefit the client? And if it's a yes, yes, and yes, we just do it. It's a very easy test, and that was a classic example last year with the free tool that we just launched, and just said, right, whoever wants to log in for that, just take it. You're on, and you've got access to all that information, because it was the right thing to do at that time.
And the thing is, as well, is because you're doing that, Nicola, at that particular time, at the time of need, when people need that help and support the most, people will never forget that. So you've done that at that time. The brokers who are part of work with you, the brokers who sort of subscribe to to Knowledge Bank, they will never forget that. They will never forget that you offered that free thing at that time to help them out in the industry at a time of need. And that just, not that you need to buy, that you can buy loyalty, but that does sort of breed loyalty from a business point of view to, so actually, yes, we did this. Yes, we created this. Yes, we did this for the benefit of, like you said, the lenders, the brokers, and the client, and it was free of charge. Wow, like what? That is such a great way to build loyalty for your brand, and from a broker's point of view, it's just a great way to do it. So fair play to you.
And
I
that's,
can see that.
that is lovely to hear. That's kind of you holding a mirror up to us. But at the time, we weren't thinking of, it's a strange thing. We were just thinking that's the right thing to do. That's what brokers need. That's what lenders need. And it's just but I just go back to what I said when I was a broker. You do the right thing by your clients, and they'll stick with you and support you. That's it. If you come at everything you do from a place of genuine integrity, then you'll never go wrong, will you, in business?
No.
It's not, it sounds a bit old fashioned, but there is room for that in business, plenty of it.
Yeah, there is room, definitely plenty of room for old fashioned values. Absolutely, Nick. I totally agree with you on that. Totally agree with you. In fact, we've chatted for a long time about you and your background and sort of, and a lot of things about obviously Knowledge Bank. Are there anything we've missed or anything we've not talked about that you wanted to talk about?
Well, I might give you a little bit of a sneak preview of what's coming up.
Okay, brilliant. Yep, I'm all for that.
In fact, you know what? This is a bit of an exclusive I'm going to give you now, actually, to be fair.
Wow.
And I
Oh,
want,
come on.
to
I
be
like
fair, I
exclusive.
want to do that for you, Craig, because we go back many years, but what you can expect from us. So looking at what we've done already, and obviously we've got the integrations that we have into like Xplan Mortgage, air sourcing, one mortgage system. We've got loads of those integrations, and there are more of those to come. But we are launching affordability as well, and that will be launched. That will be launched in September. So I will. That's an absolute exclusive for your podcast, because nobody else knows about that. But yeah, so it'll be residential and buy to let. So it's both of them straight out together. Massive coverage of lenders. The reason we've not done it before now is because we've seen other people do it, and we've watched the feedback, and because it hasn't just been quite right. So like everything we do at Knowledge Bank, unless it's 100%, we don't do it. So yes, we weren't first to market with that, but we wanted brokers, when they use it, to be able to rely on it, and rely on it 100%. So that will be launching around the middle of September.
Fantastic. Thank you for the exclusive, Nicola. I really appreciate that. So I'll make sure
Oh,
that
you're
just,
welcome.
just bumped you up the sort of launching the episode to making sure we get this out before September, and very quickly. So no, that's brilliant. No, thank you very much for sharing that. And that is, like, again, just benefits everybody. So, and you're going to do it the right way, no doubt. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely.
Fantastic. Anything else we've missed, or because like I'm now gobsmacked and sat back here thinking, wow, I've got an exclusive on the podcast. That is the first. That's the first time we've had an exclusive. So
Oh no, I'm more than happy to give you that, Craig. Absolutely. But yeah, there's just lots more to come. I mean, we will. There is more sort of planned for back end of the year and into next year, and I'm more than happy to come back and update you on those as we get through them. But yeah, I think for us, it's just about maintaining that position. We've won a couple of awards this year, and we're up for a couple more, which fingers crossed, because they mean everything to us. Especially we got voted in the Lender Benchmark Awards, that was voted for by brokers as the best criteria system, and that just means the world, because that is brokers that are critiquing us on various different points, comparing us against others, and we came top in. Well, we got the top marks in every single category, from not just and as well, not just what's on the screen, but also customer service as well, and things like. I mean, that just means everything to us. The fact that was voted for by brokers. So yeah, it would be nice to sort of get a few more in the bag. I think we've got 16 industry awards we've won now, which
wow.
is great.
I think, like I said, the feedback from the brokers, getting awards from brokers voted by those people, just gives you great feedback. That is, you are in a time when the mortgage broking world, the mortgage industry, full stop, financial services needs technology, needs to embrace technology and move forward for everybody's benefit, the broker, the clients, the lenders, everybody's. What great accolade for you for the awards, but then winning ones from the brokers voted by them, that I can understand why that means everything to you, Nicola. That is such a great achievement. So well done to you and the team behind you. So which you've created a great team. So
thank you. Yeah, I mean, every award is brilliant, but the ones voted by brokers, they sort of hit differently. They mean a lot. They do mean a lot.
brilliant. Fantastic. Right. I've taken up enough of your time. Just one last thing. Where do we, I'm a broker now. I was thinking, right, I want to be part of this. You talked a little bit about a free trial. Where do I go? How do I get myself sorted out with my logins for mortgage, for Knowledge Bank?
So you can go on there and on our website. So our website is www.knowledgebank.uk. So there's no need to put co in. We're moving with the times. We are just knowledgebank.uk, or if you just Google Knowledge Bank, to be fair, we will come up. And if you go on there, it says start a free trial, and you just put your details in. You don't need to put any payment details in or anything like that. It's just your details. With your FCA number, email address, name, contact details. That's it, just so we can verify that you are a broker, because it is just an intermediary broker system. So this is not available. The public can't access this. It's just intermediary only. So we just do our own verification. And you've got, as soon as you do that, you can do that 24 hours a day. It's completely self-serve, and you go on, you straight through, you get full access into Knowledge Bank. We do run 3 webinars a week. So if anyone wants a bit of a run through, but honestly, it's so simple. It was designed to be really, really simple, so that if you can log in, you can use it, you can find your way. It's not complex at all. And so you get a full 30 days, full access, free trial. And at the end of that free trial, if you want to subscribe, what I will say, at its most expensive, so brace yourself out, it's most expensive, it's $14.99 plus VAT a month. Now, so that's the most expensive because that goes down to like sort of £10 a month for team plans. But a lot of networks and clubs have discounts or special arrangements with us where you're able to get that a lot cheaper. But if you think of the cost versus the time, it's, well, pales into insignificance, doesn't it? And then, of course, you can also link it depending on what sourcing system. If you use Xplan Mortgage, which I have to say I used to use Trigold when I was most recently as a broker, and Xplan Mortgage is brilliant. It links in with that, so you can search on product and criteria on the same system. So it's not 2 different systems, they're linked together. So it's just completely, you can say, I've got mum, dad, 2 kids. He's on his self-employed 1 year's account. She's on 0 hours contract. They get child benefit. They're buying a property with deck access, and they've got a CCJ that was satisfied in the last 3 years. Where's that going? You put it all in, and it looks at all the criteria, all the products, and tells you where that will go. So that's brilliant. The same with air sourcing for equity release as well. So and you just link your accounts once, and then they're linked forever. And also One Mortgage System, we also have that link in. So there's no limit, there's no extra charge for that, apart from any of the systems themselves that you would pay for, the third-party systems. So yeah, you just use the system, and then all the other features that are on there as well, like I said, the product transfers, the SVRs. You can look at individual lenders and see what they do as well, and of course access to all of our webinars. So we have things like our criteria clinics that we do every other Monday, where we just sit and place lots of cases for you and things like that. So yeah, we're just all about placing cases so you don't have to really, and take that heavy lifting out of it.
All for maximum, the worst case scenario, $14.99 a month. So fair play.
Yeah.
Absolutely fair play. Nicola, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute joy to catch up, to hear all about Knowledge Bank, and thank you so much for the exclusive. I really do appreciate it. People know where to go to experience Knowledge Bank and get that 30-day free trial. So, but yeah, thank you so much for your time. I know you're very busy, and it's just been really appreciated and good to catch up as well, which is the important thing.
Yeah, no, it's been an absolute joy, Craig. Thank you, and thank you for the invitation. And yeah, I'm more than happy to bob back on at some stage when we have a few new things to launch as well.
Definitely. No, I will be taking you up on that offer, no doubt. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. Brilliant.
Thanks, Craig.
Are you an experienced mortgage advisor who is looking to go alone and set up your own firm? Is owning your own brand and business important to you? Do you keep putting off the decision because you just don't know where to start? Let me explain the My Brand, My Way programme. This is aimed at experienced mortgage advisors who are looking to go alone and set up their own brand and business. So what does the My Brand, My Way programme offer? You would own your own brand, your clients and your business, while still creating your own legacy. You would still receive the competitive rates you would as if you went direct to a network, and these improve as you grow. You pay a monthly fee which includes your compliance, your indemnity, CRM and all your licenses. Difference is you get my help, support and coaching in not only setting up your business and brand, I will help you grow. If this is something of interest to you, please get in touch so we can arrange an informal discussion.